Hi, I'm Mick Harold from Visual Exposure. We're a multi-award-winning sign company delivering sign projects across Australia, mostly for larger blue-chip organisations. We've got 17 full-time staff here, plus some casuals and contractors we call in. Based in Melbourne, mostly with contractors interstate. We deliver anywhere between sort of 4 and 10 jobs on any sort of given day. And we've got guys on the road, we've got some guys and girls in the workshop producing all of that stuff, plus all the management staff that have to deliver those projects. It's about building the job and understanding the client's brief and then turning that into something that we give back to them that says, look, we've heard you, we understand what the brief is, here's the costing for that, so that they can then accept that and deliver it. We were early adopters of CRM systems. We originally used something called Info at Hand. We then moved on to Sugar CRM, and we struggled with Sugar CRM because it was a platform that once it was developed, it was hard to upgrade. So because we'd done so many customizations to make it work for our business, every time we wanted to do even the simplest of security updates, it broke the system. So we were running many years behind on the Sugar CRM cycle, and we needed to find something that was a bit better than that. The business grew, we had to find solutions to that. So there's a lot of Excel spreadsheets, but there's also just interactive PDFs for job sheets and stuff like that, that really made it a system that wasn't integrated, and we were struggling to keep it all together. Since the company was getting bigger, the needs were getting bigger, we'd added a wholesale lighting side to the business. It was completely different to everything else we were doing, needed stock take and inventory, and we were really unable to find other systems to help with that. So we knew we had to work with consultants and the right people to be able to come up with the right solution from the ground up so we could grow it from there.
So I'm Pratik Modi, also known as Pratt, from FI Digital. We are Zoho Partners and been around for close to 9 years now, working with clients in Melbourne and larger Australian region to help them come on board with Zoho, help them with consultation, implementation, and also ongoing managed services. As a Zoho partner, we really shine out when the requirement is complex and it requires, like I mentioned, a bit of ongoing support, consultation, and something that is not out of box available, right? That's where these are the kind of projects that we handle with scale and complexity. That's the differentiating factor. As Mick mentioned, they were already exploring different applications, and Mick did his thorough research, and there were questions that were unanswered. We being local to Melbourne helped because that's when we went to meet Mick, understand his problems, understand the business cases, and that's where we started developing this partnership.
So I kind of understood systems and what we wanted to achieve, but I didn't know how Zoho worked, and there was Zoho One, to be honest, was mind-boggling the amount of apps that were on there. I didn't know what they all meant. So we've been working with FI Digital. It was about trying to understand that. What apps did we need? How was it going to implement? How were we going to link all those things? And so they were instrumental in that at the beginning. As time grew on, our relationship with them's changed. We've moved into a more collaborative thing. As I've understood the system better, understood how to work with their guys better, we have a weekly meeting now, and we sort of hash out what's the next steps.
Hi, my name is Aditya, and I'm the head of solutions with FI Digital. And my passion and my designation here is to try and showcase the value and potential of Zoho applications. When we first engaged with Visual Exposure, there were a few problem statements that were expressed. One being a very diversified app stack, which is not integrated with each other, causing a lot of efficiency issues and productivity issues. Second was a lot of paper-based manual processes, which had to be digitized. Third one is not having an industry standard product, right? So it's both a challenge for the customer themselves as well as a partner, because we don't have a reference material. So Visual Group as a business work as multiple brands. So they have multiple brands which work as divisions, like Visual Exposure, which is the main engagement with the customers. Visual Technologies, which sells wholesale and retail stock products. And then VFab Signs, which is a division that purely manages the production and fabrication process of the designed or based on the artworks that were designed. and installation is handled by Visual Exposure in the end. So there is complexity in implementing the CRM system, and thanks to CRM being one of the most customizable softwares, we are able to find a solution and make it work for multiple stakeholders and different brands within. We had to streamline the customer journey, and we had to funnel them into the Zoho CRM system. So there were 3 different websites with web forms that we had to integrate so that the lead generation and lead qualification process initiated in Zoho CRM. Once that is done, they go through the sales pipeline where they are quoted based on the artworks that have been submitted. And once the quote is approved, then we integrated with Zoho projects, and we created project templates. So there were tasks, milestones that were preset that way that since Visual Exposure provides end-to-end services, we had to create templates for projects so that it reduces the time it takes for the team to hit the ground running. During the first part of the implementation, we did implement Zoho projects. We took a lot of learning from it during the development phase. So we were able to create a framework with Zoho Creator for the project management as well as job management. And we were able to quickly develop the product to manage the installation tasks, the design tasks, the fabrication tasks, all together in one platform where multiple team members, both internal and external subcontractors, were able to work out of one solution. And Zoho Creator's low-code app building capabilities allowed for a rapid implementation so that there's no loss in time and there's no downtime for the business in delivering the services that they normally do. At the end of this implementation phase, we were able to solve one of the key challenges that Visual Group came to us with initially, which was paper-based manual processes, which were completely digitized both for internal crew members as well as external subcontractors. That way the business always has digital copies that can always be stored safely and referred to at any time. Now that the operational side of features and functions were implemented using Zoho CRM and Zoho Creator, we had to look at how do we invoice the customers, right? So the finance side of things started with Zoho Books, the accounting application. While the integration with Zoho CRM and Zoho Books is generally very tight, the unique complexity here is how there are 3 businesses working with one Zoho CRM, right? So we had to tag like each of the transactions. Every transaction or a quote or an invoice is going to have multiple line items like labor items, design items, artworks that each belong to different divisions or different brands of the Visual Group of companies, right? So we had to integrate Zoho Books and CRM in a specific way that makes sense on a bookkeeping level as well as for the business or the director Mick to be able to see how the performance of each of these divisions are and what's the profitability percentages for each of these divisions as well. And for visual technologies, the brand primarily works with physical stock goods, which have to be sold both locally as well as in interstate. So we were able to implement Zoho Inventory, again, directly integrated with Zoho Books, so made our life easy as well. And we had integrated Aftership for managing all the shippings and tracking of the shipping as well through the entire order management and fulfillment journey. At this stage of our implementation journey, the majority of the challenges that Visual Group faced were addressed, right? So now it was looking ahead in terms of increasing the workplace productivity through the suite of applications that are available within Zoho One. And the first application we implemented was Zoho WorkDrive, which worked together with both Zoho CRM and Zoho Creator to store all the assets, digital assets that belong to both a specific job and a specific customer in one central location. So it managed the central storage of all documents, all checklists, all the safety forms, as well as all the image assets that has to be shared both with internal stakeholders as well as the customers. And from that point, it was more of a consultation touch point where Mick was able to identify some of the Zoho applications like Zoho Click for internal communication, Zoho Vault for password management, Zoho Learn to manage like an in-house wiki for all their training and tools and equipment guidelines. And Zoho Mail, they had transferred from the Google Workspace into the Zoho Mail entirely by themselves because Mick's team and Mick himself became self-reliant in terms of leveraging Zoho's capabilities at the end of our implementation journey.
So we've got instant profitability on jobs because we're tracking every single job, the purchase orders, all of the costs, the labor that goes into that. all of the purchases we make. And so we get instant profitability as the job's going on, and we know when we've made money and when we haven't. And it's not reliant upon someone to sit there in the office with a paper and pen and grab all of those things. People are just, the managers and the staff on the shop floor, they're creating all of that themselves. So it's not actually an additional overhead, it's just part of our system now. It's baked into the main processes.
This business is growing and the requirements are growing as well. We are very agile. Mick is very helpful and agile, open to new ideas, and that's what the vision is. So in two parts, how we are going to help is continuously work in a co-pilot fashion with Mick, because he's a very hands-on person. So this is on the process side. But on the technology side, we would like to see how we can help Mick with things like Zoho Analytics, with Zia as Zoho's AI offering. We also want to explore areas within Catalyst where it's visual exposure's vision to then give some part of reporting into customer portals, and how do they give their customers more freedom to look at things and reports. Zoho One has been really instrumental in providing this platform. And that's what I always emphasize, that we see Zoho One as a platform play and not just a bunch of applications.